Hey guys, welcome to my video. This is my follow-up video from my very first video, the follow-up that I promised after a week of crazy doctor's appointments back to back. I finally have lots of information to share. So a quick background for those of you who don't know, I'm Kristen. I'm documenting my journey through weight loss surgery from the very start. So my last video was about the very basics, talking to my doctor, getting a referral, going to an orientation seminar. And this past week, last week, I finally got to do a whole bunch of stuff on my to-do list checked off. And the most important was I got to meet my doctor, have my consultation, find out how much weight I have to lose before the surgery. I got to go to a nutrition class that they host. I got a jazzy binder full of tons of information about food, recovery, what my hospital stay is going to be like. So I've learned a lot. And really the biggest thing is meeting my surgeon. So I guess let's start from the beginning. So Monday I went to the nutritional class where they talked about everything from the post-op diet. For those of you who don't know, most everybody who gets weight loss surgery, if not everybody, has to go on some sort of post-op diet. Sometimes you'll hear it called the liver shrinking diet. And it's basically just trying to eat really healthy. I might make a video that's more specific about what the liver shrinking diet is. But it's just eating healthy, trying to shrink that liver that sits over your stomach so that your surgeon can lift it up during the surgery and see the stomach and operate on it. And again, because everyone's insurance is different, surgeons are different, your body is different. Some people do the diet only 2 weeks before surgery. My surgeon wants me to do it for a couple months. So it's really all dependent. So I learned a lot in the nutritional class. We also talked about, I think, the 3 or 4 different stages of your recovery diet. So from liquids to puree to soft foods to real food, eating real food again. And I might include that in another video. Go into more detail about that. So that was one thing I checked off the list, and that's a requirement from my surgeon's office, I believe. Second was actually meeting my surgeon. So that happened Wednesday. I met my surgeon. She's awesome. For those of you who don't know, my sister had the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which is the surgery I want. She had that a year and a half ago, has lost 100 pounds, and I really liked her surgeon, so I wanted to go through her. So I met her again. I met her briefly in the hospital, of course. My sister got her surgery, so I met her again. And she asked me a bunch of questions. I told her I already knew the procedure I wanted. She thought that was awesome. And thought it would be a great fit for me. So I also found out that she wants me to try to lose 20 pounds within the next 2 to 3 months, but really said it's not so much about losing the pounds. She just wants to see my weight go down. So as long as I'm going in the right direction, that's good. But it's not so much about hitting the number as much as it is about following this liver shrinking diet. Not only to shrink my liver, which makes the surgery much more safer for myself, but also to see that I can follow direction, I can follow a diet, and that I'm, dedicated to making this work. So that was really great. Before I left that appointment, they gave me a nice check-off list that had all the things I needed to get done, and it was great to visually see that. And the best part is that last week I got a bunch of that stuff done. So excited about that. Something that I think is required by my insurance and not my surgeon was getting a psychiatric evaluation. during that initial orientation class that I went to, the surgery center gave me like this big thick pamphlet that told me I would need, most insurance requires a psychiatric evaluation, and they were really great and gave me a list of therapists and psychiatrists I could call to get that done. I already go to a therapist, so my therapist did the evaluation for me, so I got that done Thursday. It was really easy. They want to make sure that you're not self-harming or have any sort of mental illness that could compromise your surgery, etc. So that was another check off the list. So Friday came around, and I believe it was required by my surgeon's office, that I had to see a registered dietitian. And so I had that appointment set up Friday. I met with her. She was really nice. I didn't learn a ton of stuff that I didn't already know. Because getting your protein in, protein is such a huge building block. For those of you who don't know, it's very important to keep getting lots of protein in after your surgery. That they really drive that home. And the dietitian, so she talked to me about foods that are packed full of protein, and we talked about my eating habits now and things I could change, what I could do during my recovery diet, all of that stuff. So that was really easy and another check off my list. So last week I checked off 4 different things, which is super exciting. And I now have some goals to reach and something to kind of work towards. So that's what it was like. A quick note is, during that orientation seminar, they told me about the psych eval and the dietitian. And they gave me the dietitian's number. And I actually myself called and made those appointments. So it's a really good example of how, if you're motivated, you can move the process along that much faster. Because when I told my doctor that I already had those 2 appointments coming up, she was like, that's great, this is going to move things along so much faster. So ask a lot of questions during that seminar. Ask them what you can do. What can I do on my own, instead of waiting? Because otherwise I would have had to wait until last Wednesday to see my surgeon and then have her tell me I needed to go make appointments with these people and all of that stuff. So that's my biggest piece of advice that I would give you all, and the biggest thing I learned from last week. Anything else? I'm trying to think. Oh, so next steps. The next steps, and again, this varies because everyone's health is different. They might require more testing. Your surgeon may be different, but I have 2 tests coming up. One is a GI tract, upper GI test. This is really only, from what I learned, for people that are doing the vertical sleeve, which can sometimes cause a lot of acid reflux. I just have to swallow this contrast sort of liquid while I stand in front of an x-ray machine. And what they do is I believe they lean you back and they see if you have the reflux. And so that's a really simple test. The surgery center is going to call and set that up for me. And then the bigger test that I believe everyone goes through is what's called an endoscopy. So you're kind of put out in like twilight, or some people actually call it the Michael Jackson drug. Anyways, you're sort of put out for like a light put out, so to go into sleep for a little bit. Not full-on surgery or anything like that. It's an outpatient procedure. They stick a camera down your throat to check the health of your stomach and your GI tract and all of that stuff. And then they also take a biopsy of your stomach lining to check for a specific type of bacteria that, if you have that bacteria, you tend to be prone to ulcers, which is not great when you're when you have a tiny stomach. So if you have that bacteria, I think they put you on some antibiotics for a while before the surgery. So it's just a test for that. So those two things are the next step. And I'm just waiting on my surgery center to call me and make those appointments. And yeah, so I might do a few more videos in between now and my next appointment just to update everyone, and maybe even talk about in more detail about the liver shrinking diet and the recovery diet after surgery. But in the meantime, leave me any questions, comments, suggestions, tips, and I will talk to you guys soon.